This is nScreenNoise. My name is Colin Dixon, founder and chief analyst at nScreen Media, and today is November 14th, 2014. Ultra HD really seems to be gaining momentum in the market these days. Lots of news this week, but first a quick numbers update. MPD says that in Q2 2014 there were more Ultra HDs shipped than in the entire 2013. Now, the majority of those 2.6 or 2.1 million shipments in Q2 were actually in China, 60%, but this actually represents a decline from the 1.6 million shipments in 2013, of which 80% went to China. So that's quite a big decline. So that means the rest of the world is picking up. Western Europe is second with about 10%, and North America third with about 8% of total shipments, leaving just 2% for the rest of the world. So the options for finding content in 4K, however, remain restricted to online at the moment, pretty much, although there are some set-top boxes loaded with content from companies like Sony. Some announcements of progress there as well this week. MGO has reached an agreement with Samsung to provide 4K movies on Samsung TVs. Now, MGO, you'll remember, is a store where you can rent and buy movies. Now, the premium you'll pay for Ultra HD 4K movies, well, you'll pay just $1 or $2 per rental title, or $3 to $5 per purchase title. So pretty reasonable there. Netflix, as you know, announced that they would be charging more for their 4K content like Breaking Bad and House of Cards. It's about $3 a month more for new subscribers to get access to that content. Well, Amazon came out and said this week there will be no surcharge for 4K content. And they really seem to have some 4K content coming on tap. All of their new stuff like Alpha House and Transparent is in 4K, is available in 4K to current subscribers. And they even have a Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga Cheek to Cheek concert will be available in 4K as well. And as I said, no extra charge to consumers, to subscribers to Amazon Prime for that content. Now, there are no specifics from any operator, at least here in North America, about what they're going to do about 4K in their broadcast fabric. In fact, DirecTV was asked this week about this fact, and they said that really they didn't have any specific plans. They were really waiting to see, although they did go ahead and say, at least the CEO said, Patrick Doyle said, that they were launching new satellites in 2015, and they will be in, quote, a good position as far as bandwidth availability was, so that if they decided to launch an Ultra HD channel, they would have plenty of bandwidth to do so. Now, you may remember back at CES, Comcast announced that they will be launching a 4K application that would allow people to watch 4K content from Comcast. They made that announcement in association with Samsung. Unfortunately, well, they said it will be delivered later in the year, and we are much later in the year, and there is still no word from Comcast on if they're going to do that or not, if they're going to follow through. Now, you can understand the reluctance of operators. They got burned pretty bad on 3D. They made a pretty heavy investment in 3D, and as you know, it did not take off with consumers at all. So expect them to continue to drag their feet as the 4K infrastructure really takes shape in the market. And looking for encouraging news on set-top boxes from ABI Research. Well, boy, they had it this week. They are expecting that almost 50 million Ultra HD HEVC, that's the high efficiency video codec compliant set-top boxes will have shipped by 2020. Now, not going to be very many shipped this year. They're only forecasting about 60,000. So that will be pretty strong growth over the next 4 or 5 years for set-top boxes. And they do not believe this will be restricted to just Ultra HD. They're expecting a lot of shipments of regular HD set-top boxes with HEVC. This makes a lot of sense. When you think about it, HEVC will provide the same savings, 50% potentially bandwidth savings for HD, just as it will for Ultra HD. And you've got to believe with savings like that over where we already are with the H.264 codec, we could be talking about HD at a megabit per second or even lower. Boy, that's a big drop in the amount of bandwidth required for HD. So that'll be very interesting to see how that rolls out. Finally, expect CES this year in 2015 to be an Ultra HD bonanza. I think it's going to be wall-to-wall displays of Ultra HD all over the place at the show, and the CEA is really lining up very heavily behind all of this. Gary Shapiro gave a speech just this week in which he laid out how the CEA is really going to help with the Ultra HD efforts. First of all, they're working with the Digital Entertainment Group to promote Ultra HD Blu-ray. You remember I've talked about that before. There's a new specification for Ultra HD Blu-ray discs, and DEG and CEA are going to be working together to promote it. As well, Digital Entertainment News and CEA will be working together on a satellite media tour to promote the content. And finally, CEA has come up with some branding for products that they can put on their product, their CE products, that is, to indicate their 4K readiness. And appropriately, they're called 4K Ultra HD is one branding, and 4K Ultra HD Connected is another. So big progress this week with Ultra HD, and it really looks like that train is now firmly on the track and headed in the right direction. So we will keep you updated with the CES 4K announcements right here on nScreenNoise.